Hello friends, welcome back to TalkBacks, where revenge isn't just a story, it's justice served cold. Today's episode hits especially hard because sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most turn out to be the ones who hurt you deepest. First up, a grieving widow finds herself completely abandoned by her family while they throw a birthday party for her sister on the same day as her husband's funeral. But when the will is read, oh, they regret it. Then, a student group project goes sideways when one lazy classmate refuses to lift a finger until presentation day, when karma gives him the mic and nothing to say. And finally, a cousin uses our storyteller's photos to run a dating scam, but her little catfishing scheme gets exposed in front of her entire fiancé's family. Stick around. These revenge stories aren't just satisfying, they're unforgettable. I never thought grief could be this lonely. When my husband died suddenly from a heart attack at 36, I thought at least my family would be there for me. But I was wrong. So painfully, unforgettably wrong. The day of his funeral happened to fall on my younger sister's 30th birthday. Just a coincidence. And at first, I didn't think it would matter. Surely, we could all prioritize saying goodbye to a man who had been part of our lives for a decade. A man who had hosted every Thanksgiving, helped my dad fix his roof, drove my mom to her cataract surgery, and babysat my sister's kids without complaint. But when I called to confirm everyone's attendance at the funeral, I got a string of sorries that didn't feel sorry at all. We just thought it'd be better to celebrate life, you know? My mom said cheerily, "Lily only turns 30 once. Grieving is a private thing," my dad added. "Don't drag the whole family into it." Even my aunt chimed in, "We already promised Lily a party. It'd be rude to cancel last minute." I was stunned. I wasn't asking them to cancel Christmas. It was a funeral. For my husband. A man they claimed to love. But they were all going. To the party? At some upscale winery 2 hours away. On the day I was burying the love of my life. So I stood there alone. At the cemetery, it was just me, a few of Mark's coworkers, and 2 of our closest friends. I delivered the eulogy myself, my voice cracking, my hands trembling. No one from my family was there to hold me up. No one brought flowers. No one cared. I didn't cry in front of them. I cried alone. For weeks. For months. And then came the will. Mark had always been meticulous with paperwork. It wasn't romantic, but it was deeply Mark, so when his lawyer called me in to discuss the contents of his will, I expected something straightforward. I didn't expect drama. But oh, it brought drama. Apparently, Mark had updated his will only 6 months before his death. He didn't tell me, but he had quietly rewritten every detail after a particularly awkward family gathering. You see, he'd noticed how my parents constantly prioritized Lily, her kids, her parties, her problems. They'd once skipped our engagement dinner because Lily had a rough day at work. I told him to let it go. That's just how they are, I'd said. But Mark wasn't the type to forget things like that. And clearly, he didn't. When we sat down for the reading, my parents looked solemn but composed. My sister was wearing a designer coat and tapping through her phone, clearly bored. Then the lawyer began. To my absolute shock, Mark had left a short letter, not to me, but to my family. It read, "To those who chose cake over compassion, you were invited to mourn. You chose mimosas. This will reflect the weight of those choices." And then came the breakdown. My family, who had assumed there'd be something for them, were left nothing. The first, however, was left everything: the house, the savings, the trust fund, and the company shares. And more than that, Mark had set up a scholarship in Lily's name, but not for her. It was for young women from abusive families trying to rebuild their lives. A clear jab at the enabling dynamics he saw in my household. My mother gasped. My father looked like he'd been slapped. Lily turned red and stormed out of the office, muttering, "What the F***K is wrong with him?" But me? I smiled. For the first time in months, I actually smiled. Later that night, I sat in my living room with a glass of Mark's favorite whiskey. I didn't feel joy exactly, but I felt seen. Like Mark had reached back from the grave and wrapped me in one last act of love and protection. A week later, Lily called me. Not to apologize, but to ask a no demand that I at least split the money like a decent person. I told her, very calmly, you weren't there when I needed a sister. You don't get to show up now. Click. That was the last time I spoke to any of them. Sometimes revenge doesn't come in fire and fury. Sometimes it comes in ink and signatures. And sometimes that's enough. Let me introduce you to Max. Max is the kind of guy who always shows up late, always has an excuse, and somehow still thinks he's charming enough to get away with it. We were in the same senior seminar class, a brutal capstone course that combined research, analysis, and a major final presentation worth 40% of our grade. The professor assigned us into random groups. I landed with 2 solid classmates and Max. The minute the assignment started, Max vanished. No replies in the group chat, no emails, no showing up for meetings. At one point, we literally scheduled a video call around his availability, only for him to ghost it. When we called him out, he replied with, "Sorry guys, family emergency. I'll catch up later." That later never came. 2 weeks before the presentation, the rest of us had already finished the outline, divided the speaking roles, and were deep into visual slides. Max still hadn't contributed a single bullet point. I emailed him directly, no reply. I texted, nothing. One of my teammates, Jordan, suggested we just go to the professor. I don't want to be petty, I said. Let's give him one last chance. Spoiler alert, Max didn't deserve it. 4 days before the presentation, Max finally replied to the group chat. Yo, sorry guys, been crazy busy with work and stuff. Just send me the script and I'll present whatever. No apology, no offer to help. Just expected we'd hand him something to memorize. At that point, I'd had it. And I had an idea. I privately messaged Jordan and our third teammate. Let's let him present, but give him the slides he thinks he's getting, not the real ones. They didn't hesitate. We were done being nice. So here's what we did. We told Max, great. You'll do the opening 3 minutes, the intro and topic overview. Then we created a completely fake version of the slides, just enough detail to look real, but none of the key points we'd be using. We gave him that version and said, practice this. He sent back a thumbs up. The night before the presentation, we had our final prep call. Max didn't join again. Presentation day, room full of students. Professor in the front row. It was our group's turn. I introduced the team. We're Group 6, and we'll be discussing policy shifts in post-war Europe, starting with Max, who will give the opening overview. Max strutted up like he owned the place. Slide 1 loaded behind him. His face froze. It wasn't the slide he'd practiced. Gone was the fake content we gave him. Instead, a map of post-World War II economic zones appeared with chart labels and terms he'd never seen. He blinked, then mumbled, UH. So, as you can see here, silence. He looked at us like we'd betrayed him. We smiled sweetly. Then he panicked, tried to wing it, said something about Soviet parties influencing the, currency structure in France. The professor raised an eyebrow. He fumbled through another 30 seconds, then muttered, I think I'll let my teammates continue from here. I walked up slowly and whispered just loud enough, you're not done yet. Keep going. Because we told the Professor Max would handle the entire first segment, 5 full minutes. So he stood there, sweating, improvising nonsense. By the time I finally stepped in, it was almost painful, but oh, so satisfying. Afterward, the professor asked to speak with us. I noticed some inconsistencies in Max's section, he said. We explained it politely, but truthfully, that Max hadn't contributed to the project, hadn't attended a single prep session, and insisted on presenting without helping. We showed him the email thread, the fake slide version, the screenshots, everything. The professor nodded slowly. Thanks for your honesty. Later that week, grades were posted. Our group received an A. Max, he got a DO and a note on his academic record for non-participation in group work. He tried to confront me. Saw it, I sabotaged him. I just looked him dead in the eye and said, you sabotaged yourself. We just gave you the stage. And walked away. You know what they say, Give someone enough rope, and they'll hang themselves. In Max's case, we just handed him the clicker. If you've ever had a cousin who copied everything you did growing up, your clothes, your hobbies, even your crushes, imagine that. But dialed up to 1,000. That's Crystal. We were the same age. She was always the pretty one, the popular one, the one with the flashy smile and louder laugh. And I was fine with that, really, until the day I found out she was using my face to scam men online. It started when one of my old college friends, Brandon, messaged me out of the blue. "Hey, didn't know you were on Tinder? You ghosted me after 2 days LOL. I wasn't. I was in a committed relationship at the time. Confused, I asked him to send screenshots. And there it was, a profile using my photos with a different name, Carrie, and a completely fake bio. But the selfies, they were mine. My beach trip, my graduation, my mirror shots from Instagram. And Carrie had apparently matched with dozens of guys. One guy sent money, another tried to meet up but got stood up. And several had been sent more pics that weren't even me but looked close enough. I was horrified. I did a little digging. Checked the account metadata on one of the sites. Email address linked to a backup number. The backup number belonged to Crystal. At first, I thought, no way. She wouldn't. So I called her. She answered like nothing was wrong. "Hey girl, what's up?" I confronted her. She denied it. Then claimed it was just a joke, said it was just to test how dumb guys are. I told her it wasn't funny, that people thought I was ghosting them, that my face was being associated with scams. She got defensive, told me to stop being so sensitive. I hung up, furious. A week later, I got a message from a girl I didn't know. "Hi, are you the cousin of Crystal M? She's using your pics to flirt with my fiancé. I found your real Instagram. Thought you should know?" So not only was she using my face, she was using it to catfish engaged men. That's when I stopped playing nice. I knew from family gossip that Crystal was throwing an engagement dinner soon. Private event, small venue, family only. Her new fiancé, a guy named Evan, rich, clean, cut, definitely the type who wouldn't be thrilled to find out his fiancé had a catfishing hobby using another woman's face. So I made a plan. I RSVP'd yes to the dinner. But before I showed up, I created a little slideshow, a digital album of all the fake profiles I'd found. Side by side shots of my real posts and her stolen versions. Screenshots of guys she flirted with. Messages she sent pretending to be me. And the kicker? The linked phone number clearly registered to her name. I put it on a tablet, labeled it for Evan. Then I showed up at the dinner in a nice black dress, calm as could be. Crystal greeted me with forced warmth. "Didn't think you'd come." I smiled. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Dinner started. Toasts were made. Her parents gushed. Evan looked a little awkward but smitten. And then, as dessert was being served, I walked over and said, "Evan, I have a gift for you. Just a small album I thought you should see." I handed him the tablet. Crystal's face went pale. Evan started scrolling. His smile slowly disappeared. He looked up. "Crystal, what is this?" She stammered. "It's fake. It's photoshopped. She's lying." I didn't say a word. Just took out my phone and opened my real Instagram, matched image for image. The room went silent. Evan stood up, looked at her, then at me. "Thank you," he said quietly. Then he turned and walked out. Crystal screamed at me, called me every name in the book. Her parents tried to hush her. I just walked out calmly and said to no one in particular, "Maybe next time, use your own face." She tried to call me later, begged me not to ruin her life. But here's the thing, she ruined mine first. I had to explain to coworkers, friends, old classmates, why they'd seen my face on random profiles. I had to defend myself against rumors I never started. I lost trust. I lost peace. So I gave her back the exact chaos she gave me, just with better lighting and clearer proof. Last I heard, Evan never spoke to her again. And me? I sleep just fine. Identity theft doesn't just mean stealing a credit card. Sometimes, it's stealing your image, your reputation, your name. But if someone builds a fake world using your face, the most powerful thing you can do is rip the mask off in front of everyone. Thanks for spending some time with us here on TalkBacks, where revenge isn't just a fantasy. It's a reminder that power can shift with a single move. If you enjoyed today's stories, hit that like button and drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. And hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. New episodes every week, and you won't want to miss what's next. See you soon!